Welcome to Denbigh for the start of Stage 4 of the 2016 Tour of Britain. Janto might be newly retired, but I knew we'd get him back on the bike at some point. Look, hurry up, will you? We've got work to do. Let's have a look at yesterday's stage, though, first. For the first time, a Tour of Britain stage began in Congleton in Cheshire, and the town did not disappoint. It was heaving with fans trying to glimpse a sight of their favourites as they set off on a picturesque route through the East Cheshire countryside. As soon as they could, 4 Brits jumped to form the break. Matt Cronshaw of Madison Genesis, Graham Briggs from JLT Condor, One Pro Cycling's resident dude, Christian House, and Yogi Bear himself, Ian Stannard. The Team Skyman was extra motivated to do something special on the roads he's trained on for years. House took Sprint 1, Briggs Sprint 2, but none of the break bothered to compete for the Yodel points. In Alderley Edge, the crowds were also out in force as the break rolled through the final sprint. The Skoda King of the Mountain points were slightly more appealing though, Christian House taking them on the first climb ahead of the others in the break. Maurice and Roach would pick up valuable scraps in the competition for the jersey. Cronshaw would then slowly slip off the back, perhaps asking himself some existential questions. At the 2.7-kilometre long Brickworks, Christian House would take 10 points on the climb. He'd then have to swerve around a camera-toting spectator on the Cat and Fiddle before taking maximum points on that Cat 1 as well. Again, Roach wanted to pick up what was still available at the summit. He was led out by teammate Wout Poels, but Xandro Maurice wasn't giving up without a fight. He keeps the Skoda jersey for another day. With the break almost 6 minutes away and around 40 kilometres left of the race, Stannard jumped, making a lone bid for success, and who would bet against him?
Stannard now beginning to bury himself as he tries to distance himself from the other two.
House and Briggs, a former teammate, tried to rein him in, but no chance. The peloton seemed fairly uninterested though. Dimension Data did make an effort, but Cav managed to wander up the road on his own at one point. The win was surely Stannard's, and he rode through the enthusiastic crowds back into Tatton Park to take a famous solo triumph, his first ever Tour of Britain stage win.
You can hear the noise resonating all over Tatton Park. There's the victory salute. Ian Stannard is home and dry, winner of Stage 3 of the Tour of Britain.
So no real changes at the top of the general classification after Stage 3. Julian Vermont keeps hold of the yellow jersey presented by Iceberg. Steve Cummings is just behind him and Dan Martin in third. Ben Swift of Sky and Xandro Maurice of Wanty Group Gobert swap places in fourth and fifth.
Now let's hear from the riders helping to make this year's race such an enjoyable spectacle.
Matt, looked like a really tough day yesterday. Was it as hard as you expected?
No, I think that's the hardest day I've ever had in the break at the Tour of Britain. When Stannard was there, for a moment I thought it might be quite nice to have such a big engine with us, but he's the best in the world at that sort of effort, and he just made my life living hell.
It gets harder every year, like I said the other day, but we're all surviving. I think everyone was kind of grateful to have a bit of more of a relaxed day because they knew how hard the day before was and how hard today's going to be. So, I mean, there was no one in the GC that was a massive threat. I mean, Stannard was the best placed GC ride and he was at 13 minutes, and he only ended up finishing with like 5 minutes ahead.
Taylor, how are you finding the Tour of Britain this year? Because you didn't quite make it to the finish in last year's race.
Yeah, having a good time. Through the first 3 stages, the energy has really been electric. Along the roads through the towns, it's great to see how many people have come out to support the race and how many people love cycling in Britain.
With me now and all this week on the Tour of Britain is Janto Barker, Rodney to my Del Boy, if you like. We were expecting a bunch sprint yesterday, Janto. Ended up being a legendary solo Stannard win. But what were the bunch up to? They just didn't seem to be up for it.
I don't know if they were capable of really bringing them back. You know, Ian's such a strong rider. All 4 of them actually rode really well. And when it came to closing that gap, I think it turned out to be a bit harder than they expected.
Does it help being on home roads as well? Because there are going to be a few local riders today who are racing in Wales, and we saw Ian, well, on the training roads he's been using for years yesterday.
Absolutely. It's definitely something that makes a huge difference. Even when you're counting down the kilometres, you know exactly which corner you're going to get to, where you need to make a little bit of an effort into a rise, all the potholes, all the descents, all the little bits where you can take a bit of a rest, where you need to eat, drink, you know, that kind of thing. You just know exactly where you're going to do that when you're on home roads.
A few Welsh riders starting today, not least Ryan Mullen. He may be Irish in spirit, but he grew up in North Wales, so he'll know some of these roads as they leave Denbigh today. But it really is, well, it's a Welsh dragon of a stage, Yanto, 218 kilometres and a huge amount of climbing.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually probably more climbing than you'll get in some Tour de France alpine stages, which just really does highlight how difficult it's going to be for the riders, especially when you consider this is now a few days into the race and everyone's going to be tired anyway.
OK, diolch yn fawr iawn for now. Thank you very much indeed. Let's have a closer look now at today's route to Builth Wells.
Stage 4 traverses North and Mid Wales. It is the longest of the tour and starts in Denbigh. Once again, Mould hosts a yodel sprint and Reed Talog properly kicks off 4,000 metres of climbing. The riders chasing the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey will also target the Cat 2 ascents of Builth and Dyfnant. After sprinting through Foel, they'll then start a sapping route through the heart of Wales. A final sprint awaits in Newbridge-on-Wye before the finish at the Royal Welsh Showground in Builth Wells. Stage 4 will start from the historic market town of Denbigh, overlooking the beautiful Vale of Clwyd. The Tour of Britain is a fantastic opportunity for local people and visitors alike to see the cream of international cycling in action. The finish of Stage 4 will see the Tour of Britain's first ever visit to the Royal Welsh Showground, just outside Builth Wells. In the green heart of Wales, Powys offers nature's playground on your doorstep. You can bound across the beacons, sail on Lake Vyrnwy, or wander in the Cambrian Mountains, and that is just the start of it. Host of the Stage 4 finish, the Royal Welsh Showground is an idyllic site with excellent facilities, lending itself perfectly for outdoor activities and the home to many high-profile events.
Ken Skates, AM, fantastic to see you here. We went to school together, he's now a politician, but great to see the race coming through, well, our area, Ken.
It is indeed, yeah, it's a fantastic area, as you know. Of course, you're a better cyclist than me, so you're more experienced on the roads here. But it's amazing for the region. It's great to have it in Denbigh. People here have welcomed the fact that it's going to have a huge economic impact. It's going to encourage more people to take up cycling. The weather's great. It's going to be a good event today.
Taylor, the race back in Wales again today, but it's not an easy stage by any means.
No, up and down. Anytime we're in Wales, it's tough.
On these kind of roads like today, 218k with 5 guys trying to control the race, it's impossible. I mean, if you start, we just had this conversation on the bus just now. I mean, if you start riding at the start today, you're going to have nothing after 100k. I mean, the roads here are just relentless, up and down, heavy roads.
We know it's not going to be easy, and take every day as it comes. Sometimes in these races, the hardest days can be the easiest. It just depends on what everyone else wants to do as much as anything. So I'll see what it's like in the bunch when we get started.
Okay, that's just about enough chatting and yakking for me. Let's get straight to the action now. Taylor, will you do the honours, please?
Now the race commentary with Brian Smith and the legendary Hugh Porter.
Cool, I'm totally blown away. Right, these are the riders on the line, waiting for the rollout for the start of Stage 4 that has taken the riders from Denbigh to Builth Wells, the longest, 218 kilometres. It also has the most climbing, with about 4,000 metres ascending ahead of them. It is going to be an absolute grueler today. Still wearing the yellow jersey presented by Iceberg is Julian Vermort with a scant 6-second advantage over Steve Cummings. Whether or not that's going to change today, it'll be very interesting to see. Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey is being worn by Raman Siekeldam. Skoda King of the Mountains jersey, Sandro Maurice, and the Yodel Sprints jersey being worn by Andre Greipel.
A nice sunny day for all the riders. 121 riders taking off from the start line. Only one non-starter today, and that was the Italian champion, Giacomo Nizzolo of Trek Segafredo.
Look at the crowds here in Denbigh. Thousands have turned out. Let me tell you, they've covered 529 kilometres so far at 41.054 kilometres an hour. So that has been very, very quick. We're just waiting for the red and white flag now to be taken in, and then we will be through kilometre 0 and the action will be on.
A few smiles in the peloton, but it's serious faces now as we start to get closer to kilometre 0. And as every day, we're expecting attacks from that point.
First sprint of the day in the Yodel sprint competition comes after 14.7 kilometres in Mold. So it'll be interesting to see the developments there. The current leader in the jersey, as I mentioned, is Andre Greipel. And he took that jersey away from the man that took the first 3 sprints on stage 1, Jasper Bovenhaus. So we're through kilometre 0, and now the action is on. Glorious, wonderful, warm conditions here today.
So it's an attack in the right-hand side by Madison Ginnis. He's looking over, and we see another one going, and it's from One Pro Cycling, Karl Domagowski.
So a lot of riders here very keen to try and get down the road and form a breakaway. And that, of course, would give them the opportunity of having a more easy ride than being involved in the skirmishes for the higher positions when they get to the climbs.
Well, you could say yesterday a lot of the teams had a bit of a day off as the breakaway got to the finish and Ian Stannard won the stage. So that's why we're seeing a very active first few kilometres in today's stage.
And that's Connor Dunn, the big rangy Connor Dunn, and JLT Condor trying to force his way clear of the field. He gave the flick of the elbow there for Sinkeldam to come through, and Sinkeldam now on the left of the screen in the Chain Reaction Cycles points jersey, eager to try and get on with the job. This is the first sprint of the day in Mold, 14.7 kilometres covered, and look at this for a move. Bovenhaus, the Dutchman on the Anpos team, has jumped clear of the group, and at the moment nobody is reacting. Now if he gets these 3 points, he's going to become the new leader in that competition. He started the day tying with Andre Greipel on 9, so if he gets this, and it looks very much as though he is going to get it, that'll take his tally up to 12 seconds. Getting nearer and nearer to the line. Here he comes. He can't believe this. Bovenhaus there picks up the 3 to take his tally to 12. He's the new leader in the Yodel sprint competition on the day. Look at that. Galopin of Lotto Soudal and Ben Swift charging over the line to pick up vital seconds. There's the result confirmed of the sprint. Bovenhaus gets the 3 points, which now means he's the new leader. Tony Galopin gets 2 for second, and Ben Swift for Sky third. Well, just look at that for a glorious shot of the Welsh countryside. We'll take a break. Lots more to come. Welcome back, and the race is now getting near to the first climb of the day at Reed Talog. It's a 3rd category ascent, and it's a One Pro providing the front pace setter.
It's Peter Williams who took the Skoda King of the Mountains jersey on the first stage in Scotland, trying to prize himself off the front, thinking of more points in that competition.
Well, his teammate Christian Haas had a great day yesterday, racking up 3 firsts, which has put him 3rd in the competition. But it's all about the 2 riders that have been dueling for the top spot, Maurice of Wanty Group and Roach of Sky.
So it's An Post and Lotto NL Jumbo on the attack. So it's constant attacks in the first few minutes of this stage.
Yeah, they're all eager, aren't they, to try and get something out of it. It's, as you say, An Post now on the front, and Lotto NL Jumbo providing the second rider, and we've got 3 joining them, and it looks like a little group could be forming here.
So this is Tonelli of Bardiani on the attack, and a very good young rider, 24-year-old Italian. He led the King of the Mountains in the Tour of Poland this year, so a very good, interesting attack here.
So Alessandro Tonelli is the man that's setting the pace at the front. He's no danger to anybody in the overall standings, 98th at 16 minutes and 31 behind. But immediately, here comes the leader in the King of the Mountains with a big attack here then from Sandro Maurice.
Yeah, it was Nicholas Roche who stole a bit of a march at the bottom of the climb. Maurice coming up fast, but not fast enough as Nicholas Roche takes maximum points.
Yep, so that's the summit then of Reed Talog. Nicholas Roche picking up the 4 points ahead of Sandro Maurice. And what that actually means now is that these 2 riders are locked on 36 points each in the contest for the King of the Mountains. Now then, this is the little break that's formed after the climb, trying to go clear. Rob Partridge, second wheel there, riding an NFTO. Also in the group is Matt Holmes and Alexandra Tonelli and Miguel Benito of Caja Rural.
Well, Tonelli at the back for Bardiani has already been in the action in the first King of the Mountains and decided to go with this 4-man breakaway. So an interesting break. Can they go all the way to the finish?
Well, none of the riders really are any big threat to the overall. It's Miguel Benito on Cayo Real, the Spaniard, who is the closest to the yellow jersey. He is 30th at 4 minutes and 59 seconds. So this development could actually shape the stage in the early stages.
Nice to see Rob Partridge in the mix here, a rider from Wrexham, the 30-year-old, and he was 8th in the Tour of Britain back in 2010.
So this left-hander now lines them up for the run up the second climb. This is Builth 7, and this is a second category ascent, and it's quite long as well at 5.2 kilometres.
Well, there's still a long way to go, and most of the climbs coming in the first half of today's stage, they really need to keep together.
So the front group toiling away here. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at the head of the peloton, because remember, Sandro Maurice has now actually had his little advantage eroded after sprint 1 by Nicholas Roach. They're tying, but the 2 places behind this group are still available, 5th and 6th. So whoever leads over from the peloton will get 2 points, and the second place will get 1. So we're expecting Maurice and Roach to be dueling for those points. But meanwhile, the group of riders at the front just continue.
You can see the top of the climb, and I don't think we'll see much of a sprint as the 22-year-old Spaniard in his first year as a professional, Benito, just joins on the back of the train.
Yeah, these 4 are likely to ride through with the summit uncontested, because they're not serious players in the King of the Mountains competition. They'll be more eager to keep the rhythm high and keep their advantage up.
So Rob Partridge at the head of affairs here, the 30-year-old from Wrexham, followed by the 22-year-old from Wigan, Matt Holmes of Madison Genesis.
Nice little crowd on the top here of the climb, waiting for the arrival of the group. Already the advance announcer has gone through to inform everybody of the situation on the road.
So at this stage, the gap is about 5.5 minutes back to the peloton, and we're expecting an explosive effort from Maurice and Roach, again similar to yesterday.
Coming up to the line, as I said, it's uncontested, and it's the Welshman Rob Partridge that rides through ahead of Matt Holmes of Madison Genesis. Tonelli is 3rd, and Benito coming over the line in 4th spot. So if you look at the result there, Maurice just pipped Roach, so it means the 2 points gives him a 1-point lead now over the Irishman in the King of the Mountains contest, with 1 more climb to go. And just look at that. Fun and games here. Miguel Benito offering us some chocolate, and I tell you what, I could eat some at the moment. Let's take a break. The third climb of the day comes at Duvenon Forest after 112.3 kilometres. Here's the Strava overview.
It's a second category climb, 2.8 kilometres in length, 4% average gradient with an elevation of 114 metres.
And there we are. There it is, right on cue. The start of the third and final climb today in the Skoda King of the Mountains. This is the ascent of Duvenon Forest. There's a chip off the old block, mate.
I'll give you that one. It's a very difficult Tour of Britain route this year, and they can't go flat out every stage. And Ian Stannard's and the rest of his breakaway companions took the opportunity yesterday, and it worked. It could have been today. You really don't know what's going to happen in a day of a stage race. Whether the riders are going to race full gas all day, or are they going to take it a little bit easier. So that's why it's always important to try and get in the breakaway, and that's why, you know, when in the start today we've seen so many of the British teams trying to get in the breakaway. Nice to see yesterday we had four British riders in the initial breakaway. Today we've got 2 British riders. Well, I say 2 British riders, 1 Welshman and Rob Partridge.
We are within the last kilometre, and the line is getting near as we look at the peloton. Just confirming my comment there that they've just passed the sign confirming that the climb has started.
I don't think we'll see much of a battle today between the 4 riders. They're more concerned reserving as much energy as possible, because at the end of the day there's still 102 kilometres to go and some heavy roads to be done. This is the last categorised climb of Duffnant Forest, and we go over the top now, and it's not easy all the way to the finish.
So up to the line, uncontested. They just pedal their way through because they're no threat, of course, to the leaders in the mountains. It was Holmes that was over the top first, followed by Benito, the Italian, coming over third. That was Tonelli, and in fourth spot was Rob Partridge. There's Roach on the extreme left, peering into the distance, looking to see where the line could be. Welcome food and fluids being taken on here. And here we go. Monty Group are sending a rider down the road. That's a good tactical move, actually, because it means that there's only going to be 1 point available now. So the teammate of Maurice has gone clear to take the 2 points.
Yeah, the Italian Marco Marcato is taking this point, but it doesn't make much difference. There's still 1 point up for grabs, and all Nicholas Roach has to do is take that one to make it equal. But Monty are deciding that they want Maurice to take that 1 point. So the strategy here is make only 1 point up for grabs. It means if Maurice takes it, then he is 1 point ahead of Nicholas Roach.
Well, there we are. That's the 2 points taken.
Oh,
now we just need to see who wins from the group.
Missed it.
There we are. That is the result of Duffnant Forest, the last climb of the day. Holmes taking 6 from Benito, Tonelli and Partridge, but the two at the bottom teammates on Wanty, Marcato just nipping off the front of the bunch, and Maurice tidying up the one, means he is now in the lead in the King of the Mountains by 2 points from Nicholas Roach. And just look at the countryside here. What a vista that is. The long road just threading its way through the valley here. Countryside at its best. Oh, hello. Yeah, he's a great guy, isn't he, Taylor Finney? Now, there's a man with a sporting pedigree. His mom, Connie Carpenter, was the first gold medal winner for the road race in the history of the Olympics. It took place down at Mission Viejo, about 70 kilometers from Los Angeles, and his mom was the gold medal winner there. 4:58 the advantage then for the breakaway quartet. As Sid Barras comes up to have a chat to his man. Sid Barras, former yellow jersey wearing the Tour of Switzerland and former British road champion. There he is, very, very good sprinter in his day. And there's the bottle in being taken on board. You don't often see the holder of the yellow jersey going back to get all the bottles. You can see them all tucked into his jersey. He'll be delivering those to his teammates very, very shortly. I'm going to bet that it's all going to come back together for a mighty bunch sprint at the end, and that is going to be very, very exciting. So we've just gone through the 71 kilometre point, as you can see from our caption there on the screen, and slowly but surely the advantage is being chipped away. Still 4:26, but once there is an organised chase at the front here, I think you're going to see that lead crumble pretty quickly. And Brian and I have been speculating quite a bit about the finish today in the Royal Wells Showground here in Builth Wells, with the final 600 metres quite technical, a sprint that will suit, I feel, one or two of the more, well, courageous of the sprinters. Caleb Ewan could be in the hunt. Russell Downing, former British champion, Yorkshireman. If he's got the legs after yesterday, Graham Briggs, and he's certainly riding with confidence today, although it looks as though he has been dispatched to the front to help with the chasing. So he's playing more of a domestique role, as you were pointing out, Brian, with the hope that they come back together, and then he'll be looking after Russell Downing. You can almost run out of superlatives to describe this countryside. It's just totally breathtaking.
Yeah, it's lovely to see when the sun is shining. I think every place in Britain is lovely when the sun is shining. And I think over the past few years, and we saw the lakes the last hour of the you know, and the lake stage was, you know, a bit dreich, as they say in Scotland. But yeah, it's a lovely day here in Wales. A nice finish in the showground in Builth, Wales. And now that Michael Hepburn is up helping out, Tony Martin is there sitting second place, and then you've got you know, Team Sky are up there. They're pegging it back slowly, and you know, this means that you know, the breakaway just cannot panic.
Partridge, the man on the front of the four at this stage, sharing the workload, relaying each other, and so the pace is maintained in a rotation with the man at the front now, when he's done his turn, just dropping in behind to get sucked along by the pace of the others. It's like a stately procession, isn't it, the way it threads its way through the gorgeous countryside here on its way to the Royal Welsh Showground. Just to repeat, this is the longest stage of this year's tour, 218 kilometres with 4,000 metres of climbing. Probably the hardest stage of the tour. When they started this morning, they'd covered 529 kilometres since the flag dropped in Glasgow at 41 kilometres per hour. So the switch has been down ever since the start. And let's not forget, Brian, there's still one more sprint to go in the Yodel sprint competition. That comes at Newbridge-on-Wye, and that's only 8 kilometres from the finish. So if they were back together, you never know, Greipel might just put his nose out to the front there to try and get back the 3 points he's lost to Bovenhaus, who's taken back the overall lead. So Pennant, the four are now through, and we're inside 3 minutes now for the first time.
Yeah, I think tiredness is starting to show on the breakaway now. Cannondale just setting a tempo.
Team time trial on the front for Cannondale here.
Just keeping their riders out of trouble. You know, Dylan Van Baarle, winner of this race in 2014, knows that you know, any mistakes or, you know, any incidents in these small roads, it could be all over. So it's important to keep your chosen one as far to the front as possible.
And Cannondale has lost one race, one competitor I should say, since the start, with Wouter Whippet. So they've still got 5, and they're all lined out at the moment, doing some damage to the advantage that the leaders have.
It's going to be interesting now that seeing one team, Cannondale, come to the front, starting to push on a little bit, thinking of not giving it an easy task for the sprinters just to ride into Builth Wells and sprint it out. They are thinking of trying to split things up, and just looking a bit further towards the back of the field, you can see Dan Martin down the back, and you really don't want to be riding back down there, because if they go on the attack and if splits start to happen and if the right combination goes and they sit up, Dan Martin could find himself in the wrong part of the bunch, as Jack Bauer, the New Zealander, has a good dig on these small roads.
Well, we're looking at 3 riders here. There's an attack here that's gone off the front, and it is the rider from Caja Rural, and that's Benito, the Spaniard. No, it's not Benito, in fact. Well, there's a turn-up. It's Tonelli that's tried to go away. As we were looking at the peloton just coming through Pennant, we've got an attack on here by Alessandro Tonelli of Barninelli. Now, why on earth has he gone on his own this far out, Brian?
Yeah, the gap was coming down, and you got to remember, he's a neo-pro. He led the King of the Mountains this year in the Tour of Poland, and obviously feels good and wanted to try and push it out, because they have lost a couple of minutes fairly quickly once we come onto these small roads, and now Cannondale will come to the front. So he wants to push on a little bit. A little bit surprised that Rob Partridge is not tried to do something, but here we see it here. They were just looking at each other, and Tonelli decides, well, I'm not waiting, the gap coming down. They didn't want to help each other, and Tonelli, the 24-year-old Italian, decides to go alone.
And it is Lobato now in the white glasses that's just trying to go clear. got a number on that bike there, Brian, or it's been broken
Yeah, it's
off?
actually 43 Gorka Zageri. It's actually there.
right.
So
If we pan back, you're going to see what the advantage is. Just coming through the tree-lined area, the peloton. Here we are in the gap. You could just see the cars, and there they are, just emerging from behind the trees.
and a few more riders joining Izagiri at the front. So another Movistar rider involved with this. Visconti. So Visconti has actually joined Izagiri on the attack here. So a planned attack by Movistar.
Yep, they want to be in this mix here. They've already missed out once before. We've also got
Hoekstra.
Yep.
And at the back there, Marco Mercato for Wanty Group Gobert. So 4 riders and setting up nicely. And in the legs, Movistar just, you know, threw everything away. But Visconti and Gorka Izagiri on the attack with Hoekstra. Hoekstra not riding. Marco Mercato going with it, the Italian rider. So it's tough times, but you can see at the front of the peloton, Team Sky trying to control things.
So this is the group that the riders went clear from, and this is an attack by the Movistar rider trying to go clear. But then they all joined up to give us the 4 ahead. Just to repeat once again, Gorka Izagiri riding on Movistar, and his team Giovanni Visconti, and we've got up there Jochen Hoekstra in the black, and we've got Marco Mercato, and these are the 3 that they're trying to close down on, who of course were riding in a group of 4 with Tonelli, but Tonelli is further ahead of those. What a development this is.
Yeah, it's all kicking off, and you know, looking at Hoekstra. Hoekstra is just sitting at the back of the group led by the Movistar riders Visconti and Gorka Izagiri, and he's not going to contribute because he's got the his leader Tom Dumoulin back in the peloton. But it is really kicking off. It's going to all come back together, but by using, you know, sprinters like Mark Cavendish to do the work. Only 6-man teams, remember. We keep on banging on about this, but it's a difficult time for all. As one of the other riders, Nicola Bohem, a former winner of a stage of the Giro d'Italia, comes across to the Movistar-led group.
Yeah, they're all getting involved now, aren't they? One by one, they're trying to creep away, which means that the peloton are going to have to keep the pressure applied, because if they once took the foot off the gas and a group of 5 riders knitting together were given a chance, then of course a gap could quickly form.
The thing is, Sky aren't their Dimension Data ready quick step, and that's why they're at the front of the peloton at the moment. So many other teams are not involved with any of these attacks, and it was Gorka Izagiri that set things off for Movistar. Visconti joined them, but they've got a passenger with Hoekstra from Giant Alpecin. He's not prepared to help, so the original 4-man breakaway with Tonelli in front are going to be back in the fold very, very quickly.
So an interesting development, Brian. Perhaps you'd like to make a comment about that?
Yeah, it was interesting there. A lot of attacking from Movistar and other teams. Tough times for Ethics Quickstep to try and control things, but Tony Martin managed to do that. But this man is full of fight, Tonelli. He's been on the attack for a considerable amount of time now. And nice to see Miguel Benito. He was almost caught there for Cajarual and decided to keep going. None of these are too much a danger in the overall, as we've got a general regroupment, but I think the sprinters will be thinking, wow, that was difficult there. It might not be this sprint in Builth Wells if you know, the run is going to be like it has been over the last 10 kilometres there.
And it looks very much as though the whole field, or what is left of them, are going to come back together. There we are. You can see the distance. The camera slightly foreshortening the distance, but he's about to get swept up then, Benito. And looking back, Tonelli knows that the effort has been in vain. It was courageous, but it was never destined to succeed. And he's going to get swept up, and he will be once again part of the peloton.
So there has been a general regroupment at the front of the race, and the peloton. I can see that Graipo is definitely there. Mark Cavendish is still there, having to do a little bit of work. But how much will that have paid to a sprint towards the end? Still 39 kilometres to go, up and down all the way. So It's difficult times. You see gaps starting to appear at the back of this peloton. This is going to be a hard finish, probably harder than some of the riders thought and wanted.
He's still trying to persist, isn't he? But I mean, there's no chance. No, he's going to come back into the group. What, about 20 metres the advantage. And still trying to get in touch is Benito. But they're coming together now. Looking down over the top there.
NFTO.
Yeah, I thought it was a rider from NFTO there. That's not Partridge, is it? I wonder if that's Ian Bibby having
Johnny
a go.
McAvoy goes for it now. So Johnny McAvoy from NFTO has a dig, but you can just see Team Sky setting a tempo at the front of the peloton. Tony Martin is also there for Ethics, but obviously a day that NFTO with Rob Partridge in the original breakaway, now Johnny McAvoy going on the attack. It's obviously a day that they wanted to try and do something.
Wout Poels coming through now. Man who won the mountaintop finish stage last year. A good season, hasn't he? Stage winner in the Tour de France, winner of Liège-Bastogne-Liège. He's got Jack Bauer with him. Also there is Roach. This is an assembly of some pretty powerful riders at the front now.
Yeah, the race is on, and when the race is on, it gets very difficult. You get the cream coming to the front. Wout Poels at the front of the peloton, Jack Bauer, Nicholas Roach, Danny Van Poppel, Tony Martin, Dylan Van Baarle. I don't think anybody's going to get away from this peloton, because it looks as if Sky are trying to keep it together.
So a big effort here then by Nicholas Roach, the Irish champion. He's had 1 or 2 goes throughout the stage today for points for the King of the Mountains. Now he's having a crack to try and get off the front for the stage. Moynard is the man in the red for BMC. 6 minutes back in the overall standings. And all the time, there's no panic at all here from the yellow jersey.
No, he's content and just following the wheels.
Riding a cool race.
Jack Bauer is following this attack as well for Cannondale. Dan Martin is also there. I don't think Dan Martin will get too involved with this. He'll, they're trying to look after the yellow jersey of Vermont.
Now then, what has that produced?
I think it's nothing. I think he's looking around. He's not continuing with it. He knows that it's coming back together. But I tell you what, it's been a great 30 kilometres of racing. Jack Bauer comes again to the front to try and keep the pressure on.
Here we are. We look at these latest developments. Look at Nicholas Roach. He's gesticulating as much as to say, well, come on, join me. It's Giant Alpecin now sending a rider down the road.
Looks like that man Hoekstra was involved earlier on with one of the attacks with Movistar. So Hoekstra on the attack for Giant Alpecin. So
Hoekstra now is the man that is beginning to have a go. Good rider then, Hoekstra. He was in the break on the second day from Carlisle to Kendal. That break that established the big lead, and he was a member of that group of 15 that went away. It's a valiant effort, but it's going to be in vain. We're approaching now the final sprint in the Yodel sprint competition. If Greipel does take the 3 here, then of course he will be level with Bovenhaus, who took the first sprint in Mold. But it doesn't look as though it's going to happen, because it is Dimension Data coming through at the front.
Yeah, Bernie Eisler trying to do something about it, but you can just see Tony Gallopin is there. Bovenhaus trying to kind of hang on. It looks like in 3rd place to try and get some points.
Newbridge on Y is the line. There it is. They've gone through it. It looks like Gallopin then has been the man that's profited there. So that's going to be interesting to see. Again, here we are, the aerial shot as they approach the line. And there is Tony Gallopin in the red from Lotto Soudal. And he's looking to take the 3-second bonus and 3 points. Gallopin started 6th overall at 1 minute and 8 seconds back at the start of the stage. He's picked up 2 seconds and 3 there, 5 seconds. So that means he's gone ahead of Ben Swift now in the overall standings. Result confirmed for you. Gallopin from Eisel, from Scott. The red pennant, the Flamme Rouge, as we enter Builth Wells. 1 kilometre to go, 1,000 metres to decide, stage 4. And it is Tony Martin on the front here, trying to lead out the yellow jersey. Julien Vermont There's a lot in the shake-up here. Lotto NL Jumbo also trying to come through, looking after the Dutch champion Groenewegen. There he is, Groenewegen, second wheel at the moment as they take the right-hander. Now then, they're heading towards the technical section. Skyer in the shake-up as well. This is going to be some charge for the line. Over the right-hander now, it's still Lotto NL Jumbo with the first 2 positions here, and the Dutch champion Groenewegen in the blue, white and red is sitting in second wheel position, and right in the wheel of Groenewegen is Ben Swift of Team Sky. Great Britain also up there in 4th place. They take the left-hander. Now then, when is Groenewegen going to launch his effort? They're coming for the line now. This is a terrific effort. Also in there is McClay. McClay's up there as well, and it's Dan McClay at the moment that's hit the front. It is Dan McClay of the Great Britain team that's going to take it on the line. McClay, or was it Groenewegen? Groenewegen gave the salute, but McClay was right there as well.
250 metres to go. You can just see Barbero is also there in the green, but it was a drag race between Groenewegen, the Dutch champion, and Dan McClay. It just kind of hooks up a little bit now and then goes downhill.
It was an electric finish. Swift there in the black, the man that's had a stage victory before, battling and fighting to the line to get third. And Vermont, the yellow jersey, look at him there, coming in 5th place.
You know, it must be maybe more than a wheel's length, maybe half a bike there. But Ben Swift has done well, taking 4-second bonus.
Well, there is the result of the stage. Dylan Groenewegen, the Dutch champion, clinching the victory with a tight sprint ahead of Daniel McClay and Ben Swift third. So the grueling, strength-sapping 218-kilometre longest leg ended with a thrilling sprint finish in the Royal Welsh Showground, while Dutch champion Dylan Groenewegen took the victory. Jasper Bovenhuis reclaimed the Yodel sprint jersey after sealing 1st place in Mould. Once again, the Skoda King of the Mountains provided a competitive duel over the 3 ascents, with Sandro Maurice increasing his lead over Nicholas Roach to 2 points. So after the hilly stage, there's no change at the top.
It was a really tough stage, particularly in the final. I didn't expect it so hard, to be honest, but my teammates did again another great job. Lucas and sorry. Max were pulling from the beginning, so really strong guys, and then in the final I could count on Tony and Dan, so I'm really happy to have them with me.
Julien Vermont rode strongly throughout the demanding stage to collect another yellow jersey presented by Iceberg as the overall leader. And there are the standings after 4 stages. Vermont leading by 6 seconds from Cummings, with Swift third at 1 minute and 3.
Another hugely enjoyable stage of this year's Tour of Britain. With us now, the winner, the Dutch national champion, Dylan Groenewegen. Dylan, huge congratulations to you. Were you focusing on winning this stage from the start, or did it just happen like that?
Yeah, we with the team, we tried to go a sprint. So yeah, today was normally a hard day, but yeah, we tried it and we did it. So it was a very nice day.
2016 is proving to be a very good year for you. You've become Dutch national champion. You finished the Tour de France for the first time. You won a stage today of the Tour of Britain. It's successful.
Yeah, it's a very good year, and this is my first year with Team Lotto Jumbo NL. And yeah, we go for a sprint train, and yeah, for now I win 9 times with the team. So yeah, that was a very good job for this year.
Just describe the end of the sprint today, because you just beat Dan McClay to the line. He's a very quick man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very fast finish, so yeah, we go downhill, and so a little bit, yeah, it was here, final, it was crazy. So yeah, Tom Lezer did a good job, and yeah, I sprint 250 meters, so I saw McClay, but I held it to the finish, so yeah, it's very nice.
Nice of Andre Greipel not to compete as well. He's been quite busy this week. Janto, you called it, you know, in fairness to you, and I'm glad I didn't bet against you this time. You called it 20 kilometres out that this man would win. Why?
I was looking at positioning. You were doing a very good job. You also have a very strong team, and you know, I could see that running into the finish. I've seen you sprint and race already this year, so I felt like that was a good call. The last bit was when Greipel didn't look like he was going to contest the finish. And I'm interested to ask you, were you in a smaller gear than Dan McClay? Was that on purpose, the finish?
No, I saw him not, but yeah, Tom Lezer did a good job, and in the last corner I was second, so I held it to the finish. So yeah, I give everything, and that was enough.
You had a great position into the finish and you finished it off perfectly.
Yeah.
Great leg speed as well. Janto, many thanks indeed. Dylan, congratulations to you. I hope you're fresh tomorrow, because it's another fairly lumpy stage, let's say, across the border from Aberdare in Wales and finishing in beautiful Bath. You can join us for live coverage of that from 1 o'clock, of course, on ITV4. Highlights once again at 8. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.